price is a totally different conversation now.
Yeah, it was over 2,000. Which
you know what? I'm a Canadian. We don't get offended.
JobNimbus, the most sales-centric CRM out there. You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thank you all for listening, for watching. You know, if you get a chance, hit one of those buttons that you see on the screen or on your phone. It might say like, it might say follow, if it says comment, type something in there. We really, really appreciate that. Leave us a review if you're on Apple, listening to the podcast over there. Today, I have my friend and coworker. I guess I'm a coworker of yours, right, Ben?
Yeah, it's wild.
Ben Hodson from the CEO of JobNimbus. So excited to have you back on, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's funny. We've grown so much. We have so many employees now that it's like I don't get as many interactions with everybody as I used to.
I know. And
yeah, it's really nice to reconnect.
And through the years, we've done so much content together. We did the Building Business series together. So if you haven't checked that out, go to the JobNimbus YouTube channel and check that out. You've been on the show before. You know, we've done so much together. It's been fun. And just wanted to I thought it was a good time to come back together, man. Let's talk about it. Big things happening. You know, Roofer, kind of stepping back into 2023, you know, Roofer Marketers was acquired by JobNimbus. And that's been, you know, we've been growing and that's been going well. How are things going at JobNimbus from the top of the mountain? How are you seeing things?
It's really good. I mean, the way I judge everything, the whole purpose and reason this company exists is to accomplish our mission, which is to make contractors heroes. Like that's what animates everything we do. And so, you know, in a really simple way, if we're not growing, then we're not accomplishing the mission, because that means more people aren't joining up with JobNimbus and using it, or we're losing customers or whatever. So, I mean, I'm happy to report that arguably 2023 was our best year ever. It is an incredible growth year for us. A lot of big things accomplished, and Roofer Marketers was a big driver of that, honestly. I mean, you guys grew staggeringly with us. It was amazing. And Jim, congrats again. Yeah. What a great year.
It was a great union, right? Like, you know, the additional value that we get to add into the JobNimbus users and you know, helping them making them heroes from the, you know, being aware, you know, for their customers being aware of them and being able to use them is really part of that. What's going on into 2024? What's going on now? What are we looking at?
So one of the things we've been thinking about for years now, and I think some customers of ours have seen this and partners and stuff, we have sort of a way that we can think about our product and our solution. And that's this like little building. I mean, we're working with contractors, so it better be a building, right? And it has little pillars in it that kind of tell you, and we illustrate it. There's 4 main pillars that we're focused on. There's the marketing aspect. It's basically everything that a great company needs to do in this space in order to succeed. They've got to be good at marketing. They've got to be good at the sales experience. They got to be great at fulfillment. And then they've got to be really, really good at cash flow. And if they do those 4 things, they succeed. And you'll see that companies that do okay or slightly well are doing like good at 3 of those things. The companies that are going to like the next level are doing great at all 4 of those things. And people are struggling or doing 2 or less of those things really well. And one of the things about last year was that JobNimbus, arguably very good at the production fulfillment side of things. That's always been a strength for us. Quite good at cash flow. JobNimbus payments has just been crazy, the amount of growth. People love it, and it's making big, big impact. But we didn't have a marketing option. You basically, until it was a lead and in JobNimbus, it didn't exist. We didn't help you get those leads. And so, bringing roofer marketers under the JobNimbus umbrella let us build out that pillar. And we made a lot of progress, but I think you would agree, we're just getting started right
we have
now
so much fun
of all
stuff.
the things we can do.
There's so much fun stuff on the roadmap. Yeah.
So looking forward to 2024, candidly, we've not been the best solution for the sales pillar. Sometimes in some of our companies, the salespeople don't like using JobNimbus for a number of reasons. And it really starts with they wish we had a better quoting experience. They wish they could provide the homeowner with a better experience. Yeah. And so, you listening may be hearing this for the first time, but we acquired SumoQuote. We couldn't be more excited. It's amazing. And we're bringing that in, and that's literally becoming our sales pillar going forward. So we got roofer marketers and the marketing engine pushing leads in, and now we have the best solution to close those deals and get those to an actual fulfillment process.
Yeah, and we're excited. We got Ryan Shantz with us from SumoQuote today to join in on this conversation. This is exciting, man. How's it going? How's it feeling?
Whoa. It's going great. It's feeling great, honestly. Ben and I, we connected probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of conversations over the year, and I've always valued Ben as a colleague and a friend in the industry. But there's always been a cultural alignment and a values alignment. And so when we've looked as well from the SumoQuote side, we maybe didn't articulate it like JobNimbus did, but that whole concept of making contractors hero just fit. It was so ingrained in our culture already and what SumoQuote wanted to be for our customers. Man, it just fits seamlessly with what's going on to get these two best-in-class products coming together.
I agree, man. When I started hearing the news about this, I was like, oh, this is good. Because, you and I know each other from, I guess, what would we call it? The circuit, right? Being at the trade shows and speaking at the ICO Profit Power events together and things like that. And have gotten to know each other too. And to me, this is just amazing. Like this is really amazing. So Ben, I want to take it back to you a little bit. We talk about the four pillars. So the big vision of this here is really to execute on those four pillars. Expand on that a little bit.
Okay. So you think about your business, and let's just take a roofing company as an example. And you've got to have consistent and reliable lead flow. You've got to sort of dominate your market, whatever target markets you're in. And you've got to have a really good way to get customer referrals. And once you get them in, the problem I see a lot of times is people have sometimes less problem getting leads than they have working leads. It's either one or the other. Either they're not getting any leads, but they're good at closing them, or vice versa. And what you need is the secret sauce of both. And so once you get that lead, being able to actually stand out, if you're in somewhere like Texas, Denver, and you have a storm, the average homeowner can expect 7 door knocks within 3 days for different contractors trying to get your mind share. How do you stand out in that pack? You have to come across as the most professional, the most reliable. You've got to have something that gives you secret sauce. And that's where SumoQuote, there's just nothing better. It's incredible. We've loved this application. And of course, then once you get the deal, then you've got to actually work it. And that's where all the JobNimbus production tools come in. You can order materials. You can have these cool Kanban style boards that let you manage it all. And then finally, and this is where I see a lot of people drop the ball, is cash flow. They're not good at their collections. They're not on top of it. Why not just automate it? That's what JobNimbus does. You can send out invoices automatically. You can do payment reminders. Customers can pay digitally in the comfort of their home. You don't even have to drive out there or anything. That's what the best companies are doing right now. And that's the future. And we're trying to take everybody that direction and help everybody succeed.
There's really been a professionalism of the industry. let's say over the last decade, right? Ryan, I mean, you're in the industry, not just from the technology side, but from the as a roofing company owner too, right? Like, so how does, when you guys started developing SumoQuote, I would assume you developed it for yourselves, right? How did you guys think about that sales function and professionalizing that sales journey?
Yeah, and you're right. My partners and I sit on the board, and I'm a partner at 3 roofing companies up in Canada here. We've been very fortunate to become one of the largest roofing companies in Canada that we've been able to grow there, which is fantastic. But the pain for us was really, we weren't thinking about competitors. We were thinking about the homeowner. And we were trying to figure out, at the end of the day, the homeowners who we're serving, we want them to have a fantastic experience. And again, to that concept that Ben was talking about of making a contractor a hero, well, it's a hero to who? It's a hero to the homeowner, right? So at the end of the day, to really be focusing on, for SumoQuote, it's our customer's customer, and to put them first, sort of as from where we started at the beginning. That was really interesting, and that was very different in the industry. To the point where SumoQuote entered the industry, there wasn't really anything that was focusing on the homeowner like that at all. No. And so we got to be very innovative and bring that in, and that's been a lot of fun to really build that out. And now part of the fun of getting to connect with Ben as we go through this stuff as well is, as we talk about what the next steps are and what's coming up and how we consider technology and how it's evolving and where it's going within the industry, there's a very similar vision on that alignment of let's focus on the homeowner and let's focus on the buying experience. And let's not just, let's not navel gaze at our industry, but what are the best buying experiences out there, period, in any industry? And how can we create something that's world-class, not just for roofing, but a world-class buying experience that when a homeowner goes through it, they want to tell their friends about it. And they want to be almost referring you, without referring you, they're referring your experience because it was so good and they were so pleased at the end of it.
What other industries do you think of? What are the ones that you think of as you were developing SumoQuote and what we're looking at into the future here? What other industries are you like, they have such a great customer experience that needs to be modeled in the roofing industry?
Yeah, you want to think about the industry, but you want to think about the feeling that you get. So, we each think back and we think about that feeling of a time where we felt cared for, or that there was something different, unique, that they went the extra mile where you didn't expect it. And that really pushes you forward in their view, and it makes it very memorable, right? If you're thinking only from a technology perspective, you start thinking about, the Amazon experience, buying vehicles, anything that you can have sort of a heavy technical touch. But the advantage that we have in the roofing industry is we've got salespeople. And so we don't just have to automate everything technically, but we want those salespeople to be as efficient as possible and to have everything at their fingertips, depending on what the needs are for that homeowner. And so whether it's, then you can think about something as simple as being in a restaurant and different things that made you really feel special in that. Now you can combine this human experience that your salesperson have with a more technical automated experience. And again, the fun stuff, and this is where Ben and I had a lot of alignment, and this really made a lot of sense as we were talking about this, especially over the last 6 months here. So sort of what's coming up and what we're building and what's in the works, that's a lot of the foundational thinking of it, but it's really, really fun now that SumoQuote, frankly, has a lot more resources with who we were partnered with, and the size of what JobNimbus has created and their vision of where we go and that we're shared in that. It's really fun to be thinking about that together.
That makes me think of like the restaurant industry, right? A lot of the fast food, fast casual, thing, all of those are going more automated. Completely automated, right? You just walk into a store, you touch on a screen and your food comes out the other side. There's no experience there. I'm not going to pronounce the name of this restaurant properly, but it's the guy that's on Instagram, and he does the Salt Bay guy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him. It's a steakhouse.
I've seen. My wife showed me one of them. Yeah.
We went to one of his restaurants down in Miami a couple of years ago, and a group of us. And there were more staff around our table than there were people sitting at our table. We were not like, we didn't, when you ran out of mashed potatoes, someone put more mashed potatoes on your plate, right? That's an experience, right? Like there is such a difference there. Technology can streamline efficiencies in that experience, but it can't create that experience. So I love that point. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Well, I mean, this is like the age-old challenge, and we think about it even for ourselves and our own customers and the experience we have. I mean, on one level, I feel like as an owner, as an employee, as a manager of a company, you should almost feel like physical pain when customers are having a bad experience. It should piss you off because it's the lifeblood of the company, and those experiences are they're irreplaceable. This actually might be a good time for me to mention something that I'm pretty excited about, which is we're doing our second year of the Peak Performance Report. This is by far the biggest survey in roofing. There's nobody even close to the kind of data we're getting right now. And then we consolidate that, and there's an aspect of the report that's about how great roofing businesses are run. And there's an aspect of the report that shows you a lot of stats about what homeowners think and what they want. And I actually think that might even be the most interesting part for our average customer, is seeing what homeowners are thinking at a big scale. And it got me thinking, because one of the stats that I was seeing in there was that about 50% of the highest, most profitable companies that we surveyed depend on referral marketing for over half of their leads. Over half. That tells you a lot. That tells you that those people are also having amazing customer experiences, because that's the only way you're going to get referrals.
Yeah, I do a lot of, as you know, I mean, I speak at a lot of events, and I do a presentation on the customer journey. Ryan has seen it at the ICO Profit Power events, and we'll be doing that at the IRE coming up here in a few days. So come check that out.
What day is that happening? Do you know the date and time yet?
I don't know the date and time yet of that one, but it'll be an exhibit.
Well, check your local listings.
Right. Look for us, and then I think both Ryan and I will be at the ICO booth doing presentations also.
Nice.
But so what in the presentation, we're talking about creating a world-class customer experience, and that's starting with, awareness, then into consideration, and then into the purchase decision, into the fulfillment of your services, and then into loyalty. And it's that loyalty piece that if you do all of the front end things well, that's what turns into the referrals. I like to challenge contractors a lot of times during these conversations of how do you get a referral? Who refers you? And it's people who you do good work for. So when we go back to the beginning of that journey, if we're doing marketing, what we're doing is buying more people that we can impress with our experience, that then refers us more business, right? And that's a testament to that in the peak performance survey, with the amount of referrals that come out of large companies, right? I think they really understand that.
Well, Jim, just to piggyback off of that quick, our roofing company here, we've actually got quite a significant service department. One of the things we do, and we use SumoQuote for it, and again, all of this is just going to be baked in and seem like it's going to all be JobNimbus, in the future, as it's all built in there. But we'll do something called a project summary report. So at the end of the job, because we really want to have that big impact at the end of the job, we've got somebody that's going out there. They're already auditing the job. They're already taking the photos and everything else. And so they'll go through and from those photos, we'll put together a quick project summary report. We'll send it to the homeowner. And so now they've got, at the end of it, hey, we finalized the job. Let us show you the work that we did, because you're probably not going to climb on your roof. So let us give you something to document that. We're going to give you your warranty certificate in there. We're going to let you know about our other services, and we're going to ask for the referral as a part of that as well. And it's this going above and beyond. It's such a simple, fast thing to be able to do. Yeah. We've got a coordinator that once it gets back to the office, it just triggers something for the coordinator to do that. And it takes them, 4 or 5 minutes because they've got something set up already. a template for it, and they crank it out. But man, the amount of comments we get on that and then referrals from that, it's a really powerful thing because it's unexpected and it's unique value that they totally caught them off guard with it.
It is. And it's those small things along the way, right? Whether the way that the phone is handled on the initial phone call, right? The way that you put your brand into the marketplace to show your team, to show the quality of work that you do, the authenticity of your brand, right? All the way through when you present with SumoQuote. I know so many of our clients use SumoQuote and JobNimbus users that use SumoQuote. And it's just a different experience to sit down with someone and see that type of a professional presentation versus a pad and paper, right? Like versus some invoice that got printed out with a couple of line items on it. It's not the same experience. And then what you're saying is at the end now it's one extra step. It took a little bit to set up the process, or should I say process, Ryan? Because we're.
You know what? I'm a Canadian. We don't get offended, so we can say it however you like.
I love it. And so, just setting up that additional 5 minutes at the end, getting that sent back to them, just that little bit of extra, right? But then you also said one extra thing there. You ask for the referral.
Yeah, right? That's right.
I was talking to a contractor today, a couple of contractors today on a call earlier, and it was, we were talking about just generating reviews, and it's the same thing. One of them had 100 and something reviews, and the other one was just starting out in their business, and they had like 7 so far. And the difference was, well, one was just starting out, but in the same 3-month time frame, like they got 7 reviews out of 50 roofs that they built, and then but they just never asked, right? They just never asked, and in that ask, in that conversation loop, hey, do you know anyone else that can use our help, right? Like that's a simple thing. This business, the best contractors, and down to that referrals, as from the peak performance study again. The best contractors that I know, the way that I like to say it, and maybe you guys can chime in on this, is the contractors that are most successful that I see all the time are the ones that can turn one into many.
Yeah, well, and one of the things, like I think the sales component that we're talking about a little bit with this is this concept of reciprocity, right? At the end of this, I've suddenly given you something of value. Now there's a bit of reciprocity that you're feeling of, okay, what can I give you back now for that, right? And so you talk about that in sales. And again, I just find this stuff a lot of fun. And we at SumoQuote obviously focus so heavily on that sales side. But it's fun to think that, JobNimbus can, now be the most sales-centric CRM there is out there, period. So, anyways, that's that. But that concept of reciprocity and kind of dropping that in there with it is very, very powerful. And yeah, it produces those results that you're looking for at the end of the day.
Explain that a little more. Because I think it's an important thing for people to understand how SumoQuote coming into JobNimbus makes JobNimbus the most sales-centric CRM out there.
Well, I guess I feel like everything that JobNimbus has really been doing over the last couple of years here, because there's, and again, Ben, you can correct me on this. My understanding is there's been 3 acquisitions now.
Yeah.
The first one was a tool called Engage. So you've got this texting side, right? And so now it's, again, thinking about that homeowner, putting them first. How do you communicate with them? What's convenient for them? And you're trying to make it, again, it's sales-centric. How are you focusing on the customer and their needs within that? One of the things I know from our roofing company is at the end of the job, if you ever had an unhappy customer, there was only 2 reasons that they might be unhappy. And it always boiled down to communication or cleanup, site cleanup at the end of the job. It was always one of those 2, right? And so just that concept of JobNimbus being the most sales-centric, it's obviously SumoQuote and being able to bring this in. It's obviously roofer marketers, but you see them investing this all over the place, and Engage and what they've brought in from that side is just another great example of how they are prioritizing making sure that the contractor is able to fill up their pipeline as aggressively as possible. There's that old saying, sales fixes everything. But then JobNimbus has always had this solution for the production and fulfillment and cash management and everything side of it. So no, that's why I would frame JobNimbus as the most sales-centric CRM. It's not just this one thing with SumoQuote, which is a big deal and a lot of fun, but it's consistently how they've operated on all these things over the years.
Definitely, the foundation was built on the production side, on the boards. I mean, but then over the years, just the addition of all the functionality, and now so speaking to that, where you're engaged roofer marketers, now SumoQuote as acquisitions. But that it's not just acquisitions that are happening over at JobNimbus. Do you know that I don't know if I don't remember the number, but it was a large number of releases that the team has done this year. Also, it was like a staggering number of releases that the dev team has accomplished. What?
Yeah, it was over 2,000, which sounds insane probably. But it's kind of like any bug we fixed, any little enhancement, button we added here or there, all that stuff counts into that. But if you boil that 2,000 plus down, we had meaningful multiple releases per month where big functionality came out, like things that a lot of other companies in this space might have one announcement a year that they were doing that one thing. That happened in a month, and then the next month something else. We are super aggressive. We're massively investing in our R&D efforts, and our product's getting better than anybody else, way faster.
I see it on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, because I get to be in some of the Slack channels, and I'm like, my goodness, this is like, there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. So it's fun to see that from the inside. Let's talk a little bit more about that sales-centric, Ben. Is that how has the vision changed over the years for you? Like, early on it was, I remember the story, you and a couple of contractors sitting down and going, wow, I think we could automate some of that for you. Right. I mean, that's a massive difference from today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the early days, the first, even say 5 years of the company, we're almost 11 years old now. All of our users, 100% of users would have been owners or office managers, and those people in the office were loving the tool. And that's why you see us have such a strong foothold on the cash flow and the fulfillment side, because those people do a lot of those tools, production managers, that sort of thing. And so they were living in those boards and ordering materials and cutting work orders and sending those to crews and managing what was built and then communicating to the customer and coordinating everything. And there was also like entering leads in. But it was sort of, I wouldn't say it's afterthought, because we definitely thought about them, but it wasn't the focus, was on the sales team. And as we built out that customer base, we realized, gosh, how can you have a core system that runs your whole business and only your office people are in it? What about all the field people? And so we started heavily investing, especially about 3.5 years ago, in like photo taking options, improved integrations. We put a lot more effort into our estimating tools. And the truth is that as much as we worked on as many things as improved, SumoQuote got to just focus on that, and they were still way better than us at that. And because we had to do like 20 other things too and do them well, and we had to make sure we kept track of this other stuff. So when it came to the time where Sumo was like, we might actually entertain the idea of coming with JobNimbus, and Ryan and I were talking about it, like, hell yeah, let's do this. This is the thing we need to get to take it to the next level. I mean, they're like arguably 2 years ahead of us in what they've built out. And now, boom, right in the product, ready to go. Customers will see that throughout this year, but in the first half of the year, you're going to see most of that functionality all come out seamlessly into the JobNimbus experience. Really, really neat in our mobile app and everything. And to me, that's the story of like where we're going next is why can't we capture the whole company? Why would you want to use a system that not everybody's in? Let's get one source of truth. Let's get everybody using it. And frankly, you got to get the salespeople, and they're kind of hard to convince. They don't want to use technology. They just want to do their thing. So you got to have something that's awesome, that makes them look great, that they close more. That's what Sumo is.
Well, and Jim, I got to piggyback off of that, because with SumoQuote, we constantly heard from customers, hey, phenomenal, we sold the job, amazing, closing rates are going up and everything, but now we want all of this data into our CRM.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there. We just couldn't do it. We had a couple of okay integrations, but like really the amount of data that's there, how it's tracked, who's seen it, what notes are there, what emails have happened, like all of this stuff. All of our users were asking for that single source of truth and all of that data to push into one place. And we couldn't provide that to them as much as we want to be able to have that as well. That is a big, tall ask to have that single source of truth. And we to be able to build that would have been, it would have been years and years and years to be able to get to sort of where a JobNimbus is. Like, that's where something like this with a best-in-class product like JobNimbus and another one with SumoQuote, it solves all of the pains for our customers as well on the SumoQuote side.
Yeah, and I mean, that was one of the things that we had a challenge with. We didn't know what happened to any of the leads that we generated for our clients, because it would go into their CRM and disappear. And we would just lose attribution all over the place. And we getting that data back to understand what's working and what's not working, how to adjust marketing campaigns. That the integration that we built with JobNimbus now is that allows that clear understanding of ROI from the time that lead comes in all the way through the sale. The vision is there. There's going to be a lot of heroes out there, Ben.
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's one thing to say like, oh, the products fit together nicely. That's a total check the box on that. It's another thing to say the teams have a similar culture and values, super important. Man, you guys built special companies that were really unique and made impact and became valuable. It's like awesome. But the thing that like maybe excites me the most is that you guys were people who were running the business because you cared. I don't know how to say this, not really money-driven people. Sure, if we're honest with ourselves, if there's zero money at the end, we're not as excited. But that's not what we wake up and do every day. We're 100% like massively care, want to change the world type people. And you guys are very special that way. And that's what was so exciting about, we're like combining all the best minds in the industry into a powerhouse right now.
I agree. I mean, being one of the best minds in the industry, of course. No, it's so much fun. And it's fun working with the smartest people, right? Like with very innovative, creative people who do care about the industry. Let's talk a little bit more about the customer journey, because I think it's important, and I want to make sure that people understand, get value in that this is these resources are there to build on this world-class experience. But what do you guys see in the marketplace? What do you see the biggest gap with contractors in creating a world-class customer experience?
Honestly, there's certain things I can talk about a little bit more. This one I want to talk about a little bit less, maybe just because some of the things that Ben and I have been talking about, I'll just say this, like the ability for a homeowner to be able to gauge in a far more interactive, dynamic manner. There's certain technical things that we need to do and that are coming up that we're planning on quite imminently. That we're going to allow the homeowner to have a completely different type of experience. And so rather than something that's static and kind of sits there and they just kind of, poke a little bit, something that's a lot more dynamic and they can play in and work with it as a part of their sales and buying experience. Ben, I probably would hold back the reins on how much I would say with that, but is that similar? Like you'd focus as far as the customer buying experience, like, on a similar sort of sentiment as what I'm expressing here?
Yeah. So I think that's prudent. I'll just give a little color to this. If you think about the problem that JobNimbus is trying to solve, we say we want to make you a hero and as a contractor. And what does that even mean? It means more time with your family. It means you hit your business goals and achieve those. It means you have extra money that you can go do cool things with. You can buy a boat. You can get that cabin that you always wanted. You can have memories with your family. This is the types of things that we're trying to enable. And then longer term, you're going to build a business that actually has value behind it that can be sold instead of just a rat race that you get to the end of your career and there's no value there because you didn't create a process, you didn't create a software system that manages everything, you didn't manage your people and process. Like, we're completely focused on that. But where I'm going with all this is to say, the truth is that to make a contractor a hero, you have to make the homeowner a hero for them. And so they're totally focused on that. I think in a lot of ways, that's the mission of most contractors, try to make the homeowner heroic and have an amazing experience, right? And that's where Ryan and I we have a lot of really interesting ideas about how we enhance that homeowner experience to make you look like the best contractor they've ever worked with. I want every interaction with a homeowner to be, these guys kick ass. These guys are amazing. Because usually, this is really sad to me, by the way, usually contractors have a really bad name. In fact, in some ways, they're hated. Maybe only lawyers are hated more online. There's a lot of negativity about contracting. And it's unfair. They're great people doing the best they can. There's a lot of screwy homeowners out there. But we've got to fundamentally change that mindset. And the way we do that is by blowing away customers with 5-star experiences where they can't wait to give you a review and refer you to friends because you were so good. You guys were the different one. You guys were the ones that communicated. You guys are the ones that said and did what you said.
That's
Well, the tools we're thinking of are that. You know?
I'm not even that's great thoughts. And that is the mindset, right? You have to look at it from the homeowner's point of view. Like the contractor has to look at it through, who is my perfect customer and how do I serve them at the highest level? A couple of episodes ago, I had a gentleman with a company called Reimagine Roofing out of Arizona. They do virtual selling.
Wow. That's actually rare. Peak Performance said 80% of people are still doing in-person proposals.
They are. This is a very rare thing. But one of the things that, his name is Cody Landels, one of the things that Cody mentioned was they do qualifying questions on the front end of that initial conversation to make sure that buyer is their customer. Right, so that they know that they want that type of experience versus they want the person at the house to sit down at the kitchen table with them. And they'll filter at the beginning of the process. They'll understand. So, not every company is going to provide the exact same experience. Right. So there's no cookie cutter. This is the only experience you can create for people. So I think that being able to adjust and know your customer first. Right. So let's talk about maybe knowing your customer. How does a contractor know who they should be serving and develop their experience for that person? What are your thoughts on that?
This is an area where I think most of the industry is really weak, honestly. One, it's really hard to get data on it. But if you want to do it right, it's all data. You look at which customers close the best, what areas, what profiles, what income levels. You look at every factor, every demographic you can, and you work backwards. And that creates your what's called ICP, your ideal customer profile.
And no one does it.
I mean, that's one of the things, Jim, that we love about roofer marketers. That's one of the things that made me like, we have to do this, is that you guys actually help people do that. It's so rare.
Yeah. And that understanding. How have you guys managed that in your business? How have you, Ryan, from in the roofing businesses that you guys have? Like, how have you guys thought about that? How have you taken a data approach to determining, hey, this person in this part of town is a better customer than this person? Or is it a gut feeling sometimes? Or, how has that evolved over the years? How have you guys thought about that?
There's certain data that we have around certain things.
Yeah.
To a degree, a lot of this stuff is salesperson controlled, right, and trained. We've always said SumoQuote doesn't replace your salesperson or the need for training for them.
Yeah.
So that salesperson still needs to understand what matters to the homeowner. Why are they doing this? Why are they taking action right now? What is their timeline? What are they motivated by? All of this stuff, right? So, for example, if I'm reaching out to a homeowner, I'm talking to them and they want new siding, well, what's going on? What's your timeline? How are you looking at this? What's your budget? Just all of those things. And it would be a lot of the same qualifying that Cody would be doing with Reimagine. By the way, Cody, fantastic human.
Yes.
Great SumoQuote user. I've known Cody for a long time. We've worked closely with a bunch of stuff. But I would say this, where that human side and that technical side combined is you've got to have the salesperson qualifying and asking those questions and understanding it. And then you've got to ensure that within your technology, you're highlighting that and you're taking advantage of that and you're making that stand out. So if you've got a homeowner that wants new siding, and the reason they want new siding and they're coming to you is because their daughter's wedding is coming up and they promised their spouse 3 months ago they were going to take care of the siding and the wedding is in 3 weeks and they need this thing done. Well, I'll tell you, price is a totally different conversation now compared to timeline. And if you are within your quote highlighting in there, we understand there's a timeline. Here's the project schedule. Here's how it's going to take place, right? And you put a couple of things in there. No other contractor is mentioning timeline and mentioning a project timeline and what it's going to look like and how they're going to execute on it. You're going to win. Just frankly, you're going to win that job, right? Just based off of that and the fact that you didn't just ask the question, but then even in your quote and what you're presenting as the decision makers are coming together and deciding, they're going to say, I don't care if they're 10% more, 20% more. This is the company that's going to get it done. They've already proven that in that they understand us. And so it's those types of things where we're going to be blending the human relationship and the relational side with the technology.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot from the marketing side, right? We're always trying to speak to our perfect customer and we're trying to answer questions that they may be having before they, kind of in our marketing efforts, right? So, something that a lot of homeowners are wondering is, how am I going to pay for this roof? Right. So in your marketing, you can have conversations about financing and things like that so that when they see your marketing, they go, oh, that's how I'm going to pay for my new roof. Right. And I love how you're talking about now, as you get into the sales process and you're getting to understand the details of that individual even further, and then bringing that down into using SumoQuote to bring that down into the sales conversation. I like to say if your customers are wondering, you are losing. Right. So when you know that they have a timeline and you know that and you express that in their quote, then they don't have to wonder. Right. And so you won. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Now,
financing's a great example there, Jim. So one of the things that we identified with that as well and understanding that buying process is how do we make it so that financing becomes a part of the conversation where the homeowner's feeling awkward about it or they don't want to tell you that they don't have enough money and they would rather go with you, but they're going to go with the cheaper contractor because they have to, right?
Yeah.
So talk about being able to make them a hero. For us to be able to present that financing option, just slide it in there so that it's a visual and right around their pricing in every single quote that goes out. It just turns into a natural part of the conversation. And you just see, additional deals close at higher margins and with more upgrades. And you create a setup and a structure with the homeowner where you're making it easy and natural for them as opposed to uncomfortable and pushy or any of those things that really aren't the ideal way to sell or go through a buying experience.
Definitely.
I kind of wake up every day and have this weird moment where I go, why the hell is financing not being used more in roofing? It kind of drives me crazy. And not because of anything to do with JobNimbus. I'm just going, this makes no sense to me. This is the way everybody is buying high ticket items these days. I did find out something really interesting about financing, though, especially from a rep standpoint. If you have to present financing in person and the person has to apply there and they get denied, it can actually hurt your close rate. And so a lot of reps go, oh, I don't even want to talk about it. And so one of the things we built in JobNimbus with our financing options is that you can send out a pre-approval ahead of time. So you can sort of be like, ignore the conversation if they're not approved, or like, hey, just so you know, you've already got a financing option, and make it part of the proposal. I feel like if people started doing that, if 50% of their jobs would get funded and they would close more deals because now customers have more options to buy.
And those are those details, right? Just those little small things along the way that make a better experience. How you meant, like sitting at the kitchen table and making it awkward, or here, just send out this link before they take, they get it all checked out. And then if not to go down that road, if you're having that, how, from both of your perspectives, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Customer loyalty. What is the greatest way that you can create customer loyalty and long-term referrals from a customer? Ryan?
When I think about that, so again, I put it through the lens, obviously, of our roofing companies and how we've experienced that stuff. Obviously, homeowners' roofs being replaced, if it's retail, you're every 20, 25 years. If it's insurance, it can happen more frequently than that. The first thing, obviously, is just a fantastic experience start to finish. But I'm going to actually pivot a little bit away from that standard roof replacement, because where a lot of customer loyalty is that we find is it's a lot of that fast service work. So it ends up being a lot of property managers, because you can get those repeatedly every week or every month, like very, very consistently on volumes of buildings and going through that. And so with a customer like that, you want that consistency and you want that communication and you want it all in one place. And so that's where you want to see the emails that have gone through and the texts that have gone through and the quotes that have gone through and the projects that have been there. And like, that's again why, as SumoQuote, the product, our customers have had these pains, and we've looked at that and been like, well, that is a big, big thing to solve. And that's where the JobNimbus side of the project management and fulfillment and all of this really made a ton of sense at the end of the day. But if you can talk to them quickly, always be responsive, not be making them repeat things. So you've got everything tracked so that anybody that touches the file can see exactly what's happened. And you can ensure that then what you say you're going to do, you do, and you do it with excellence. You see that customer loyalty, especially on that service, property manager type side. Definitely. And then really on the homeowner side, it's all the same things. You just don't see it as quickly coming back to you, but it's all the same elements of just being excellent, great communication, not making them re-explain things, and then making sure you're following through and executing on what you promised you'd execute, and balls aren't being dropped all over the place.
There's a long time saying, probably most salespeople have heard of this, that people like to buy from someone they like. And I totally believe that's true. I actually don't think it's looking at the full picture, though. My opinion is that they, more importantly, like to buy from somebody who likes them. And so I think it starts by the care and thought that you put in as a sales rep into treating the person as an individual and showing them that you care. And then that goes through the entire purchase process, through production and through cash flow. You have to show you care, especially in a world where more and more of our lives are going online, and we think we're connected, but we're actually getting more and more disconnected from the true meaningful connections that we used to have as people. Roofers actually have a cool thing, because the process still has human interaction in a way that can set you apart from almost any other company right now that's all online. And in those human interactions, I think, is where you really show you care, and that's what drives a lot of the loyalty of customers.
That's a great insight right there. And because it is said, right? People buy from who they know, like, and trust, but it's that feeling that you give them right? Like is something that's different. Man, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. What do you think, guys?
It's fantastic. Yeah, this is great.
All right. Awesome.
So, I mean, just like the future is customers of JobNimbus are going to see SumoQuote implemented within JobNimbus. It'll be the new proposal experience, the new estimating experience. It'll seamlessly create work orders and material orders and invoices, and you can use all the payment collection. We're also adding down payments into Sumo and making that part of the whole experience. So you got that. The other thing I guess I just mentioned is that at IRE, we're going to have a big splash about this, International Roofing Expo. And then that's also where we'll launch Peak Performance 2024.
That's right.
So people can get a free download of that. We're not charging for it, even though I arguably think we could charge thousands for it. It's an amazing report. It's just something that we're doing to give back to the industry because we really care.
And we will be giving that away at my presentation, which is at 2:30 on Wednesday at the IRE.
Oh,
I got it. I got the date down while we were talking. I sent a Slack message and got the right information. So really hope to see everyone out at the IRE. Brian, Ben, thanks for your time today. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.